Hello there folks, and how is it going? And welcome back to another video. I started to try and think about what it is that reminds me of Ireland and what it is that invokes feelings of Irishness, if that makes any kind of sense to you. And that's ultimately what I've been trying to explore. But I'm still in Connemara, and one of the things I suppose that caught my eye is even like this scene here behind me. I hope you can see that. It's just a road, but it leads up to this gorgeous mountain, and as you can see, it's catching some nice light at the moment. One of the things that always reminds me of being a kid when visiting the countryside here is all the ruins and all the kind of abandoned houses and all that kind of stuff. And that's ultimately what I have found here behind me. And I am just trying to play around with some potential compositions. I've walked up onto the road and out onto this road to kind of look back and to have the ruin in the foreground, and then ultimately this beautiful mountain that's here behind it. That's kind of my thinking. So I think that is going to be our first shot of the day. Again, it's just green like abandoned houses, trees, and then beautiful mountains. And now there is a clear patch of sky until the horizon. So my hope is that the whole valley and this whole mountain is going to essentially get bathed in golden light. So that's our fingers and toes crossed for this evening. But even like I say, even a scene like this, you've just got this boreen, this small road that seemingly leads to nowhere, but leads to somewhere beautiful. Those are the kinds of things that constantly remind me of Ireland, and I suppose me being Irish, I guess, even though I'm from Dublin, which is the city. And it's like, so I think that's the aim of today's first shoot. The mountain in the background here is so beautiful. There's all this beautiful dappled light from the cloud that's behind. But I'm going to stop my mad rambling because my arm's getting tired if nothing else. And I'm going to grab my gear, and thankfully I'm just going to walk up the road a small bit and see about firing off one or two pictures. But this will just be the start. I don't want to make a whole thing out of this. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm having fun nonetheless. The drive to today was magic. It's pure gold. But and I've probably said this in the last few videos, but I have lived in Portugal, as you all know, for a while, and just being home now has just really been such a treat to explore and have the freedom to be able to explore the countryside like this, and obviously meet up with some fantastic people too. But anyways, that's a mad ramble of an intro. Let's see if we can capture the essence of Ireland in this one picture that I have lined up for myself. And throughout the course of this video, I hope to find a few more examples of that what draw me personally, that connection. I'm looking for that kind of like personal connection that ultimately draws me to the countryside each and every single time. So anyway, that's an intro. I think this is probably my longest rambling intro, so I hope you've even made it this far, and if you have, fair play to you. I'm going to set up and let's see what we can do. Welcome friends to the ASMR photography studio, and welcome to the first picture in this crazy ramble of a video. I hope you made it through all of that and you're actually sitting here looking at the picture, because I really am so delighted with how this image came together overall. The golden light that just hammered this valley was just such a wonderful thing to watch as it unfolded in front of me. And again, like I mentioned in the crazy ramblings, to me there's just something so incredibly Irish about this photograph. Just the green, the ruin of the house, and then of course that absolutely magic mountain in the background and the light. Oh my god, it was so beautiful. I promise that was the longest of the rambles in this video, so bear with it, and let's continue onwards. Well, what an absolutely marvelous evening. It was such a beautiful scene, and I thoroughly enjoyed just standing. I think one car went past and it's just so quiet. It's just so beautiful, and I'm thrilled that I was able to capture that. You guys would have already seen it. I hope it turned out okay. But sure, look, I am going to retire for this evening because the midgies are out and I need to get away from them. And tomorrow, then I hope to try and kind of capture that same essence. So Whether that be sunrise tomorrow morning, I'm not sure yet, but we shall see nonetheless. But anyways, I will see you tomorrow. Well, what an absolutely insane night this has been. It dawned on me when I parked and I could see the plough in the sky. The clouds are there now, and I was like, you know what else is quite meaningful to me personally is photographing the plough in the sky, the Big Dipper. And so I went out to the beach to do that, where I'm essentially camping here, and took a nice picture that's, that you'll see now in just a moment. But then, wow, the phone started buzzing and everybody was hopping off, saying that the aurora was about to kick off, and it kicked off. It was great. I've never seen the Northern Lights here in Ireland. I've been very lucky to see the Northern Lights a good handful of times, but never in Ireland. And it was really just incredible. I didn't have this camera with me, so I wasn't able to do any kind of talking or anything, but I was, because I was far away from the camera or from the van, and oh wow, holy moly, what an absolutely wonderful way to end such a fantastic day. Really magic. I'll pop up all the pictures for you now, and there you go, finding a meaningful connection to the images. I have now just done that with these, just pure magic, like. So yeah, there you go. Who knows, we might have an aurora season here in Ireland at some point. But wow, what a wonderful night it's been. Anyways, I'll pop up the pictures for you now and walk you through them. Classic ASMR photography lifestyle. Cheers. Who can deny some Northern Lights, let alone some Northern Lights over Ireland? Say that 10 times fast. I couldn't believe what was going on when the phone started beeping in my pocket. Truth be told, this was the night after the video when I was hanging out with Thomas Heaton and Darren Spoonley. So like that whole week has just been so fantastic in terms of photography, and to cap it all with this, I couldn't believe it. I was like scrambling around trying to find reflections or something that I could do with the Northern Lights, and to see these purple pillars as they absolutely towered into the sky was such a sight to behold. Now I am including 2 Northern Lights images here, and this second one is actually a stitched panoramic. I just like the idea of having it shot nice and wide to include a lot more of the scene. In retrospect, I probably could have moved a little bit closer to the water, but ultimately what I really love about it, and like I mentioned in the rambling before the pictures, is the fact that the plough is in the frame. Was one thing that I was super conscious about when trying to compose these images with the Northern Lights, because as I mentioned, for me, that's really where my kind of love for astro began, those many years ago when Orla and I would camp, and we would camp underneath the plough, and I would try my best to take photographs of it. If you ever meet me in person, I must tell you how I managed to photograph things back then in terms of night sky. But overall, I talk about making new connections with places. Wow, this whole evening was just certainly one of those, and it was really a rare and wonderful sight to behold. Delighted. So as we continue to explore, what really brings me into the Irish landscape, and I really think scenes like this that are behind me, the light has faded just a small bit from when I took the picture, which I'll pop up on the screen for you now in just a moment, but just this golden light that creates this beautiful cast of colour onto the green that Ireland is so renowned for. And just then obviously mountains like this in the background. It just, to me, an image like what I just photographed, it screams Ireland. To me anyway, like I say, this is more about me finding connection to the photographs that I ultimately, come out to take, particularly here in Ireland. So anyways, if the picture turned out to be any good, I'll pop it up on the screen for you now, and we shall then continue to explore what it is that makes me feel like an Irish photographer. Let's keep going. So if you can cast your memory back to the images I took of the Three Sisters, which are these wonderful, beautiful cliff sides in Kerry, this scene really jumped out at me while I was standing there, and I knew I wanted to include it in this video as soon as I'd seen it. As I mentioned just a moment ago, this picture was taken just a few minutes before the rambling you have just seen. Like I said there, it's the capturing of this green that's just so vivid in the frame for me, and then it obviously leads us down into the frame, and it's almost this sleeping giant off in the back, and of course then that beautiful pastel-y color in the sky. I'm really happy with how this particular one turned out, and again for me just screams kind of Irish countryside, and I love that about this frame. In all the melee that has happened since the recording of these video clips and all that kind of fun stuff, I actually lost a bit of the footage, which is terribly sad because it was really nice footage. So the two pictures that you are about to see now that I'll walk you through, classic ASMR photography lab style. I had whole rambles recorded, so I'm probably saving you the kind of crazy ramble. So anyways, I'm going to pop up the pictures for you now, and at least we can still enjoy those, if not the crazy ramblings from the beginning. So this particular image was actually taken from Dunquin Pier. I'm so raging that I lost all that footage. I probably just deleted it by mistake, not knowing that I was going to use it. But overall, this picture for me is, I really love how this one turned out. And again, for me, the connection that I ultimately wanted to try and portray here from my personal standpoint is this notion of like a faraway, distant land shrouded in mist. As I sit here looking at it, and certainly while I was editing the picture, the feeling I really get from it is the kind of like draw to seek and find and explore. And that's what I really love about this image. But I say that connection for me with this is just so wonderful, and it almost draws me in to want to find more and seek more from this beautiful earth we find ourselves spinning on, and I really love it for that. So this particular picture, I'm so annoyed that I lost all the footage for it, because it was nice footage. This for me, as I sit here looking at it now, is why I love seascape photography. For me, the connection that I'm finding with this image is just that contrast between that blue and that absolutely gorgeous sky. And I know I always go on about it. If you ever read any of the things that I post on Instagram or social media and all those kinds of things, that natural contrast that does be in nature in like this is just such a thrill to seek and chase. And for me, the vividness of that contrast is ultimately what I find myself being so connected to it about. It's such a wonderful frame, and of course that long exposure to slow down that wild Atlantic and make it this glassy kind of area. Actually, I wonder if I could turn it into one of these kind of like fine art images. I might play around with that at some point in the future. But overall, I'm super duper delighted with how this particular one turned out. So, welcome back to this chronicle. It's been months since you would have seen the last pictures that you would have looked at. It was months ago, like it's December now, and they were shot in the summer. But needless to say, I was waiting for opportunities to arise, how do I put it? For me to find connection in the images that I wanted to share through this particular video. Now you might remember this scene from another video that I put out just recently, and for me, this place has such memory because it's like 4 or 5 minutes away from where I literally grew up. And as a kid, I used to be actually quite scared to come here because, at the time it was a bit sketchy, and, I was all like, "Whoa, Jesus, don't go down the weir." And but now, as an adult, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? And it's so beautifully done up now. And I wanted to include this particular place in this video because of that connection, and because I'm now looking at it through a whole different kind of perspective, and that's ultimately why I chose this location to be in this video, just because it's it's Dublin, it's my home, it's like I said, stone's throw from where I grew up. So I framed up a nice little simple image of this waterfall or cascade, and if it turned out to be any good, then I will pop it up on the screen for you now. So as I mentioned, this particular cascade I did do a whole other video for you know, a good few weeks ago now at this stage, and I really love how this particular image turned out. It's almost Zen garden-y, if you ask me. And like I mentioned in the crazy ramblings that led up to this point, this area is very familiar to me. It's just down from where I live, and again, it's just somewhere that I have visited so many times, and going back with this fresh perspective really enabled me to look at it in a very different way. And that's ultimately what I try to achieve here with this image. Again, it's not the craziest amazing image you're ever going to see in your entire lifetime. It means way more than just a photograph, and that's, again, like I've been mentioning throughout this video, is ultimately what I was trying to chase and trying to achieve. So folks, here we are now at the end of this wonderful journey of a video we found ourselves on, and I figured the best place to end this video would be overlooking the city that I grew up in, which is of course Dublin. We have come, I'm here with my sister today, can you believe it or not? Senior Spielbergo is out having a good time in town. We might be able to see her in the picture, but probably not. My sister Lynn is helping me here. Cheers, Lynn. And we are overlooking the city. I'll overlay some b-roll for you now, and essentially I wanted to try and create a nice picture of the cityscape itself. Now, I know we were in town for a couple of videos ago, which was great, and I plan to explore more of those, but for me, seeing this view is something that I personally grew up with, having always kind of been up just behind us here is a place known as the Hellfire Club, which kind of has a similar view to this. So having kind of, you know, grown up in the Scouts and all that kind of stuff, can you believe it, I was a Scout, and spending time up in these mountains, I was constantly seeing a view that we're looking at now, and seeing the city change and evolve has always been something that I've really enjoyed seeing over the years. So I am here to photograph a nice picture of Dublin City. Now the sun has set and any chance of any kind of like sunset light is out, so we are going to wait for the lights to come on a little bit and hopefully try and capture a nice kind of blue hour shot of the city. So my ramblings haven't made you press stop yet. If the picture turns out to be any good, I will pop it up on the screen for you now. Let's have a look. So we didn't really get the kind of blue hour image that we were ultimately after. As many times as I have seen this view in my lifetime, I completely forgot about the kind of emptiness that's between where I was standing and the city, and it really didn't light up in the way that I had hoped for. It's funny because as I, you know, sat down to record this and edit this video, it was this picture that was kind of turning me off actually making the video in the first place. There's just something about it that didn't really come together for me the way that I had hoped. But then it dawned on me again that this video isn't necessarily about these grand images that we try to create. It's just more about the connection that one has with an image when they take them. And for me, as you would have seen over the last little while, I love Poolbeg and I love to photograph this area. So having this vantage point from up in the hills, all it does is just serve to make the image even stronger for me, even though it may not be the most aesthetically pleasing image, if that makes sense. But overall, like, I'm just so delighted that everything came together so wonderfully well over the course of this video. As months later as this is, I'm really happy that I ended it on this particular image. I also forgot to record an outro. So this is my outro, folks. This video was a long time in the making. Sorry about the mess behind me. It's pretty wild here now at the minute. But I'm really delighted that I put together all of this. And, you know, as I edit the pictures now and the video footage now, it's like, even though it was a bit of a long-term project, I'm really glad the way it all turned out. So I am going to save you any more rambles. So folks, if you like the video, please do hit that like button. And of course, if you fancy following along for more adventures like this one, you're most welcome to hit that subscribe button. And yeah, so next time I see you, we'll, you know, do some adventures on the way. So anyways, take it easy, everybody. Cheers.